All right, I could get a brother gambler game in. People have been saying that he needs a nerf. Maybe I just suck with him, but my experience with him is like certainly he's like stupid up until the end game. Like you're probably not going to lose many fights. But I do find it pretty hard to get a first with him because just the play style. If you really want to lean into his hero power, so we'll see what we can do. But the reason I say that is like you're not rolling as much, so you're not getting ahead on experience as much. You're not getting an actual comp together as much, and you're not getting. Okay, this is a great unit to start with, by the way. And oddly enough, we don't lock this. I don't think on this hero. So the way he works is you add your leftover gold and mana together, and for the multiples of 2, you'll gain stats on that. So like right here, we're not incentivized to use this because this doesn't actually help us at all. This is probably the best unit we could have found at the start, the ranged unit, and we're just gonna maybe not even buy any more units. Like literally just only keep this unit. This would be another unit worth taking though. If I take it, I just miss a 1/1 on my buff, and I think this unit is good enough for me to take. And actually, because of the we'll put her first still. Because of the multiple of 2, we might as well buy that. Now, this is not a unit we want on this character, I don't think. It doesn't do much for us. But these are the type of units we want, keyword flying, keyword ranged, and we just get them a bunch of stats. Oh, I don't have any music. I guess maybe I should put some of that on, huh? Let's go. But yeah, I find it hard to get first because if you don't find the right units, like Romeo and Juliet's your best chance of getting first, I think, because those units I can actually do something with at the end game. I'm tempted to take another one of these. Then they eventually triple, which would be good. I will. Okay, I'll take another one of these, because again, we do eventually want to triple these things. Alright, we'll switch them. Switch it like this, actually, because we want to take out that back liner. Wait. Did I preview the wrong... Who did I preview? I don't know why I previewed them, because I'm facing this. Either way, we probably just start with this. And honestly, I could just do that. I think that's reasonable. Get something out of our sleighs. If I really wanted to, I could go like that. I think that's okay too. This guy's probably trying to greed anyway. So we can really try to get like double sleigh here. Alright, we got one sleigh. Could have kept the unit. Actually, no matter what happened there, we were gonna tie if I didn't play that unit, so that's fine. Okay, so now we start to get into the game of do we take any more units or not. So far, no. Romeo take, because as we've mentioned, that's a unit. Now, we're on 2 and 2, so we'll just sit there. Now, question is, do I want to actually try to get my sleigh value? If they're paying attention, they might just try to counter my flying units. I think I'm going to not care about sleigh here. It is a Cheshire cat, and I just want to get these units buffed. I suppose I could still do that, though, huh? I'll try that. I'm obviously going to get wrecked by Earthquake, But I don't think I play around that on this turn. This turn, it's very awkward to cast that. Maybe it's not awkward for a Cheshire Cat to cast it, though. Either way, I do want to greed here a little bit. Try to get the buffs on these already buff units, and just we'll get the bonus slay value if we can get it. Now we're definitely apt to sell that shield to make our numbers even, if that makes sense also at some point. All right, got one slay, two slays. Beautiful. And we win, or we tie the fight. So like I said, it's very powerful early. Look at that, 8-4. All right, we'll switch who gets that. We could get one more ranged unit. I don't know. We're never really wanting to cast spells with Brother Gambler, in my opinion. So it's not really better than this unit. The same with this. I mean, this I guess we could take because we're getting the extra slaves as well. Is it worth me? We're essentially giving up... We're definitely giving up some stats to do that. In the long run, I don't know. I feel like the way to go is try to get some sort of good boy royal thing going. I don't think I'm going to buy it. Yeah, I'm not going to take any of these. Could do the kiss. Don't really care about that either. Could put the Romeo here. I think I might do this. Just keep these things buffing. Just trying to protect these. To try to get that. If we can get that double slay again, that's like the best. That's the goal. Oh yeah, we're gonna get it. Nice. Double slay. And another tie. Things are looking up. I mean, we're not... On the downside is I'm not, like, winning fights. So there's that. This Romeo also hasn't been buffed yet. These guys have so much health now, I probably can just do that. None of that. So we have a decision to make. I can sell this, get another buff. Keep in mind, I get more stats as my levels go up, so I may just want to save it. I could roll one more time at really no cost to me. Or I could buy this. It does have that nice synergy with this, but do I need that synergy? Because again, this unit's not going to last on the board for that long, I think, assuming I can find Romeo and Juliet. I'd be willing to spend extra rolls to find them. Let's just roll one more time here. Okay, I would buy another one here and just run one of them. And now comes the decision, do I just sell this shield to get extra stuff right now? I don't think so. I think we'd rather get it when we're higher level. I guess we could just roll again and maybe... Yeah, if I saw another, like a triple, I would probably lock it. But since we don't, it's fine. Oh wow, this guy's got a huge apprentice owl. That's going to be pretty good once he gets to 20 health. Okay, we can triple that. That's fine. Should still look for Juliet. This is, I think, overall positive. I could get $3 back at the same time, but in the long run, I think this works. Silent Bell we could also do. I don't think we need that, though. I do like just getting ahead on experience here. We're going to sacrifice a little bit here, but I think that's fine. I'm also down to sacrifice the Slay 2-1 here. So I'm getting no stats here, keep in mind. I suppose I should still do that. Maybe I should have took the bell, I don't know. I didn't know it would give me the experience thing. I think the experience is worth it here because, as we said, I get more stats when I'm higher level, and even if I never find Romeo and Juliet, I can get ahead and just, even though I have the upgraded Romeo, we can just look for things like Fairy, but Good Boy, stuff like that. We might lose this fight, but I think we are willing to pay that cost. Darn, almost got a double Slay, but the stars got us. We don't even pay HP, so I think we made the right call. Alright, anything here? Emperor sucks. All of these suck. Okay, we can triple that. I think that's fine. Don't care about haste. Since I have double slaying unit, I think that's fine. I still want to try to find Romeo or a Juliet if I can. The question is, how much are we willing to pay for that? I think a lot. We really do need it right now. Our board's pretty weak. Could take that crap. There we go. Now we just sit here and we don't cast that because we're getting more stats out of this. If I did want to cast it, I'd sell that. But again, we're almost about to go to 5, so why don't we just do that, right? And I will not bench anything at this point. I think now we want to start putting on the hurt. This is like our time to... Now that we have the Romeo and Juliet, we should start trying to beat people. It is a full demon board, which is... Well, not full. It's not that good of a demon board. But we want to hurt a Fisher King anyway. Don't give him time to do crazy stuff. Does he have flyers? No. That means I'm getting a lot of stats into this Juliet. We almost certainly win this fight. Unless he picked up a trickster in the back or something. If I would think it over again, I would have took the bell. In my head, I'm like, bell... My heuristic with Bell is that it's just not that useful once I'm already about to level 5, but the flip side of that is I'm Brother Gambler, who often plays down units for quite a while. So I probably could have just taken that and been fine. Alright, put 7 damage in, nice. Another Juliet, we'd definitely take that. Now this gives stats to both of them. We are level 5. There's nothing I don't think that we're really looking for at level 5. I think we just do this. Also could do the pirates. I know we saw the Sinbad. I don't think they're unusable, but we already had the Romeo, and the Romeo Juliet's just such a more straightforward path to take here. Now the downside is if Brother Gambler doesn't give any stats to these units, we could force it to do that. We have that option. Because realistically, I don't want to run these 3 units probably in the long run. But for the foreseeable future, I will. There's too many stats on them. And herein lies the problem with Brother Gambler, at least for me. It's that sunken cost fallacy. It's like, well, at what point do I pivot off of these units that are clearly my best units? At least as far as the base stats go. It could be a skill issue, I'll admit it. Could just be a skill issue. My inability to know how to pivot out. Certainly having giant flying units is good for most of the game, though. I mean, if we face Scam, for example, we'll just keep both of them in. I mean, that's 2 different shots at Frankenstein or the demon. And them becoming giant is not such a bad thing in that case. And we don't cast the haste because that would cost us stats. Wow, all of those stats went into the one parrot. It's really, I don't know, like, I guess. It's good if we face Scam or Cats, I guess, which is very likely. Probably the 2 most common builds. Alright, we don't want any of that. And like I said, it's just not worth it for us to cast those spells, I don't think. Alright, I guess we triple that. I will take the Radiant Fairy as well. This looks like a skip to me. And then we'll take, which sucks because 4s are alright, but like I said, we're not casting spells, like, I think we go like that. And then 6-2, that's fine, I'll sit on that. That's 4 different buffs of, what is it, I'm level 5. 7/7 buff 4 different times. And when you read it, it seems like it will only go to 1 character, and it did there, but I don't think it does that normally. You'll notice it will split it up a lot of the time. I would say theoretically either way. I think if it split it up, it's better. But theoretically, the expected value over time is about the same, as long as you're keeping the same units on board. Now, maybe in this fight I don't run that other parrot. Well, we would love to kill that trickster. I'll keep it in. That trickster is something that could beat us. And we don't know how greedy this entrepreneur has been. If he's holding on a lot of gold, we don't want him to be on high health. We want to do anything we can to put him on low health. Now, obviously, if I kill the Romeos, that doesn't help me that much, but it is better to kill the Romeos than the Juliets first. Just less stats overall. Oh, they changed it. Wow, he really played around him, but I got him. I mean, any target, he made it so any target back there was a good for me to hit, though. Alright, look at that, 7 damage, down to 7 health. That's what we want to see. Cat, not a horrible one. I mean, it's the cat that comes out of it has stats. It's like Phoenix, kind of. But I don't think it's worth me building around. I think we're just going to not do anything here if nothing shows up. Yeah, nothing shows up. I could speculatively try to... The thing is, we don't expect to get treasures, really. Looks like Juliet got a ton of stats there. Since she has so much more stats than the Romeo, we should try to get her to die first. I'll even put her there. Because that's going to obviously be better if she dies first and goes to Romeo. 300% of those stats is better than 300% of those stats. I only had them back there because they were similar stats going into that fight. And then Radiant Fairy, I wanted to push, hopefully, to any of those 3 would be a good target. Now again, I could take this parrot out, but between the Uther, I mean, the Uther isn't doing a whole lot right now, but if they are running Uther, I have to imagine they're trying to transition to something that uses Uther, and being able to snipe it would be good. And they only have that Rapunzel Prince thing. What is it called? Rapunzel's Prince is the only thing benefiting right now on Uther. But they might switch it so that they run the sleigh up front. I don't know. It would kind of make sense, I think, but not if they see that I have these double parrots. There's not much they can do against my double parrots. They might even just run Uther up front. That wouldn't be a horrible idea. Run it slot 4. Run all of their boosters up front. That would not be a horrible idea. Alright, we're hoping that the stats go on these 3 units. We'll try to pay attention to what it does. Does it spread it out or does it all go to 1? Yeah, see, it spread it out there. It gave some there, and a lot there. Which is great. I'm A-okay with Juliet getting those stats. Big damage. I mean, he certainly seems pretty broken through these levels, but we'll just see if we can win the game. Fire Mage wouldn't be horrible, would it? But when I already have these, it's just not that needed. Now, here's a spell I would cast. Alright, we are level 6. Okay, Celery Tea would be an interesting one. It would be an interesting one. It could be okay against that. Wouldn't matter that much against that. Celery Tea isn't... If they're going scam, they're trying to do... Okay, I'll tell you what. If they're trying to do the chair build, if that's what they're trying to do, Celery Tea would be good against that. Celery Tea is good against Romeo and Juliet. Scam, it has to hit the right target. I'll tell you what. I will take this. We don't need flying. We obviously have that quite well. And now we're at the point where if I ever end on an odd thing, I will just sell that so we get the max value out of it. So H Celery Tea works. This is the newest unit in the game at the point of this video, at least. It will basically pigamorph an enemy without changing their stats. It can be good in the right scenario. I still think the unit is a little weak for a 6 cost, but I've had it win me games. It's just really tough because, like, one of the things I would want it most... I mean, I could lock the flying and put it on it, and then it's really good into scam that has a wolf on their Frankenstein. I don't know, though. That's a lot to ask, considering I'm giving up so many stats by spending 11 resources on it. I think we just let it sit here. At this point, we don't technically need much more. So it's like, do I even buy anything more? Like a good boy would be the only thing. Or if I see like a King Arthur and a Merlin. But as it stands, I don't really need much more. If I could triple the parrot, that'd be nice. Free up another slot here. Alright, Celery Tea got some stats. That's nice. Like I said, it's not really much into this fight, but, you know, it didn't do anything there. Wow. I wouldn't have thought we were essentially losing that fight. We definitely don't want to change our hero at this point. Matt Oblivion Seeker. Don't think I want that. Angelic Commander. Okay, Phoenix is interesting. I think we take that over the second flyer. Phoenix is definitely a unit that benefits. We're still on an even number here. I think going down to 10 is nice. It's 5 different procs of 9/9. Phoenix, just getting some base stats is nice, but the Radiant Fairy, if it hits it, is really good. Now the Good Boy's like even better. Good Boy could replace this Songstress, if anything. I mean, I don't even know that I run this Songstress that much longer. I don't want her to get stats. And if we're facing backline stuff, running 2 flyers is okay. Probably just run Celery T slot 2 against that, if they don't change things. That flying is good. Flying is good there. I think we want to go like this. This can still get stats from the sleigh, like slight stats, but like I said, now I have every unit on here wanting stats, whereas I don't really want the songstress to have stats. And I may want Celery T in slot 7 on some of these fights. It's hard to predict where Celery T needs to hit. Sometimes it'll go front line, sometimes it won't. Also, if I do end up tripling this parrot, the extra parrot getting stats is fine. Alright, Celery T's growing. Actually got that Nocturne up big enough that I didn't didn't seem like those stats didn't come back properly. I had 50% of my current stats. Did they nerf this unit? Either way, it seemed like it didn't come back with the right amount of stats unless I'm missing something. It came back with 10 health. Unless I missed that it got hit by another star or a hero attack or something. Okay, none of these. None of those. So now we have to ask ourselves, okay, this we definitely want our double flyer in. Celery T doesn't matter that much right now. But if they do get a Frankenstein, we do want it there. And they're probably for sure looking for a Frankenstein. I think this is a good turn to sell this and just let it all of this stuff go into stats. See, this is where I wonder what the proper call is, because I have a board that is fine to me right now. I would love a good boy to replace that second parrot. That's it though. So like how hard do I roll for a good boy when I'm giving up stats to do so? That's the skill check that maybe I'm failing right now. In my head, I want flyers against that. I don't care about flyers against that, but I just move the Celery T up front against that. Flyers against that is fine. And that's the only people left, so I don't think Good Boy is that imperative to me winning. It's not going to matter against Scam. It only really matters probably against that. Against this, it could help. They have a lot of these things, but a Celery T here should do a lot of work as long as it doesn't hit the dwarf. But I think we definitely run it up front. We want those things to die. And I may pick up a second Celery T if that's the enemy that it looks like is going to be our problem. Or a Trickster. You know, the Tailor. Celery T or Tailor. Tailor's probably better, honestly. Okay. Alright. Oh, damn, they doubled their stats. I swear I'm the worst at, like, giving my Hercules just endless amounts of stats. Okay, we could pick up a second thing at the cost of stats. We don't care about Celery T in this fight. And it's already at an okay amount of stats. So what if I just did this and try to get them some stats? I think that's fine. Oh wait, do I need to change anything? I still think we want the flyers. I mean, ideally killing the Fire Mage might be better. I don't know that opening with... Here, why don't we start with you? You know what? Nah. Just trying to think with that Fire Mage, like, what's the best call here? Oh, Brave Little Tailor. Do I buy that? We could lock it. I don't need to buy it. I think we lock it. It'll come in. I'll probably run that slot 1, Celery Tea slot 2 against Fafnir. I'm trying to play around Fire Mage right now. That's what I'm trying to do. Fire Mage could be an issue. Or I could just 12.5 him. That works too. Alright, we tie though. I think we did the... It's not the greatest sign, to be honest, that we are like... Man, if I could snipe the... It's only a 1 out of 3. Here's the thing. It's a 1 out of 3 to snipe the fairy. But it's like a 3 out of 4 to just wreck these dudes with these units up front. Okay, we could triple that right now. I think we should. Golden King. It's the weird time when I don't Golden King because I don't really gain much from it. I'm not. Yeah, the only thing that really gains is Radiant Fairy. Everything else is upgraded. I think it's just either Song Sword or Sintamati Stone. Let's go for the high roll here. We'll just get a weaker proc here since we tripled that, but that's fine. Tailor still does what it needs to do. Hopefully it gets some stats. But if it doesn't, it doesn't. Could run this third slot if I wanted to. I don't think so. I mean, there's definitely an argument to go Radiant Fairy here. Because then we want it to hit the Royal Phoenix. Since it's upgraded now, it's getting supposedly double of its stats back. We'll see. I'm just hoping that Tailor gets a little stats, because if it doesn't get any, then it's not going to kill the unit, which could waste my Celery Tea proc. Alright, it got some stats. Perfect. Unfortunately, we didn't Celery Tea a great target, but we should still win, it looks like. No, actually, we lose. Jesus. Alright. Okay. Who do you want? So, who do we think we're going to fight? Is it going to be you or is it going to be you? I wouldn't imagine they're running Fire Mage in the back against them. Fire Mage actually does just fine against that chair. Just thinking, like, who am I going to give these stats to? Let's roll anyway. Alright, I'm going to get a bunch of stats here. Celery Tea is fine as is. Brave Little Tailor is fine as is. This guy is fine as is. I'm still winning the fight. I just don't want to lose the fight. That's the main thing. But we do want these things to be getting a lot of stats. So I'm just going to run them against the Ghost. I mean, they have a 315, 277, and they have a Succubus, and they have Resummoning. I really don't know. But they don't have Tricksters. Here, let's go like... I guess we go like that. Because they're Fire Mage. This thing, if this hits that, it's as a Succubus hits this into that, that's like the worst. If it hits this into this, that's fine. Yeah, I think we play it like that. And then the Fire Mage won't kill Julia. If it goes into Julia, that's the best case scenario, because then it just dies, and then those stats go somewhere good. And hopefully the Centimati Stone gives us something good. Okay, we got good stats there. Alright, best case scenario. Wow, that guy has 1,000 stats? Okay, guess we're getting fucked by the Ghost. I think there must have been a glitch there. Hopefully this isn't too little too late. I'm notorious for getting this and then dying. Alright, against this guy, we just run... the normal stuff. I think we're gonna put you in, put you up there. I actually think against this fight, we do this. Upgrading doesn't do us much good. Okay, buying a second celery tea. Tempted to take this as well. I might survive on 14 versus 13 health if I lose this. I very well could lose this. Let's do this and lock the tea so that when we fight this dude, we got the tea. I don't know. Do I care about the tea that much? It'd be a 12-12 tea. I don't think we care. Let's roll once since we got... We really want haste, I think. We just want to find the haste spell. I mean, all of our units will be upgraded. Maybe I should have took it since all my units will be upgraded. Yeah, we'll see. You see the problem, though, with winning with Brother Gambler, right? It's like, what should I be doing at this point? I'm trying to put my hero power to use, but should I just be abandoning it? Maybe I should have. Gosh, that's worst sequencing. Whatever. We might be dead because of that. Jesus. Well, this is Brother Gambler, in my opinion. It's like, you get top 4 for sure, but you never fucking win. We're probably going to get 3rd. We just haven't been able to do anything. Alright. Go there. I mean, what else can I even do? I can't even fly. Yeah, putting them in over this isn't even making sense at this point. Really, that Centimati Stone was pretty useless. The only thing it really upgraded was the Radiant Fairy. Everything else, it like doesn't matter. Like Celery Tea upgrade does nothing. upgraded these. Wooey. And upgrading these arguably was bad because I would have just wanted to triple them. That's just Centimati Stone for you, though. You know, I think I just do this and pray that the stats are enough to get me there. This Romeo has been allergic to getting the upgrades, apparently. It having, honestly, the Romeo not having stats has fucked me over a few times here because he keeps getting sniped. He shouldn't get sniped here, but you never know. Should I just roll for haste, though? I should really be rolling a bit for haste. Yeah, whatever. I gave up 199 of stats there to roll a bit for haste. I could cast that, but it's not enough HP for me to survive now at this point. Just gotta hope for the best. Gotta hope that we go first. You know, that Juliet getting off with the double dying breath is pretty much game over. I don't know how they find so many of those units, by the way. It's like, this is why I wish there was a shared pool. I mean, I've had some crazy Romeo Juliet builds, but I never had that many. These are all upgraded. Like, he's got three, like 6 of, 5 of them all upgraded. It's wild. Yep. Man, my celery teas. It didn't actually matter there, but yeah, we just can't beat this. Actually, we did just beat this. Okay. I guess Elaine the Songstress, OP. Alright. I'm definitely not playing down a unit against this motherfucker. Shit. Alright, we don't need the T in, but man. Hardest ghost in the world. I think the other guys have been dying to the ghost too. I'm probably going to die to the ghost here. Could I just... I could get 6 health and then I'm at 9. Still not good enough. Another one of these. It's just a little late to get it going, unfortunately. I think we just got to pray that this is good enough to get the job done. I hope that Taylor can hit that owl. I really hope that it can. And Romeo, if you could like get some stats, that'd be great. I'm going to put Romeo over here. So that it has less of a chance of dying to Fire Mage. Even though we really want the... Like, combat-wise, we want the Phoenix last, but that Fire Mage sniping my Romeo really hurts. So we want to limit the possibility of that. In a way, that this guy gaining stats works against me if it's Fafnir that we end up having to fight. I think we will. I don't know how this would beat Fafnir. And I'm trying to remember what was in... I mean, I guess they have that pirates box that could pop into something crazy. I'm trying to remember what is in the wolves, and it's like just books, right? Or in a Hakate. Which I guess technically makes that's a pretty neat thing. I was like, why do they have a fairy? And I'm like, well, I guess they get the stats if that pops, but I'll definitely run double parrot against that. Okay, at least we got good ordering there. Shit, it's not going to be enough remotely, though. Fuck. Dead to the ghost. Yay. 3rd fucking place. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Brother Gambler is that good, in all honesty. It's like, because I think of things in terms of getting first place, you know? I think if the meta shifts to like top 4s are good. Right now, I just don't think the mark of like successful play is top 4 finish. I think it's like averaging better than a second place finish, which so far, because I've fucked around too much since the reset, I am actually a little bit above 2-point average right now, which sucks. It is what it is. I tried to do, there's like, maybe it'll be nerfed by the time this video comes out. There is, people were saying that like the stealth chair was OP, and I ran it several times in testing it, and I got horrible results with it, like 6th place several times with it, which definitely tanked my win rate. I don't think it's very OP, and honestly, the fact, if it does get nerfed, in my opinion, they should just remove Matt from the game, because it's like Matt finally had a use case to me, finally had a decent thing it could do, and they're just going to immediately nerf it, and I don't know why, because I'm telling you, I've ran the stealth chair, and it's even worse than playing Brother Gambler, who also I don't think needs a nerf. I think obviously it's like a free path to top 4, but I think you screw yourself doing that game plan, and then you just can't transition out of it. You know, it's like I could have just kept rolling, I guess. And again, maybe it's a skill issue. Maybe I needed to roll harder for things like Good Boy. But here's the trade-off. I could have doom rolled for Good Boy and never found it, and I would have had no stats. You know, I at least had all these stats. I also had to play around. Like, I had to spend money picking up stuff like Celery Tea and Taylor, when I could have just never picked them up and just rolled with this. My thought, though, was I was never going to beat the Romeo Juliet without because them having more, and I'm never going to find more than them, right? You know, I can get more stats on my one copy of each, but that's not going to beat the amount that they had on the board. So that was my thought there. Plus, we also saw a scam player. I didn't know that they would die so fast. Granted, the scam player technically beat me. They never went scam. They just simply had a Hercules that just kept getting stats on their bullshit. And I had to fucking deal with a 1,000 owl. Which I still don't know how that like, I'm like, it has to be a bug, right? Because I'm thinking, think of the top 3 that were in the game. Like, how did any of that beat a 1,000 owl? Plus a bunch of other big stuff. None makes sense to me that guy died, but whatever. So that's my Brother Gambler game. I don't rank him very high. I honestly, here, let's do something fun. Let's do just an impromptu. What I would rank the tier list for the heroes are. Let's check. Where is that tier maker? All right, 1 second here. All right. Well, I don't know if this has them all, but we'll just assume it is, and I'll name out the heroes because some of the art has changed. So the way I'm going to rank these is just simply as picking them at the start, not really like transitioning into them later. The tier list would look a lot different if that were the case. So what do I rank the heroes by in that sense? Like, well, mainly the early game, which is going to be funny because I'm going to rank Brother Gambler low, so it kind of goes against that. But I will say I skew toward the early mid game, but we don't completely ignore what happens at the end game. So Ares, I don't think Ares is that good. There's not much for it early to get its attack power up. You're kind of hoping, like, I don't think Tracking Dog is very good. And I don't think that if you can get the attack spell, that's like your only thing really through the first 2 levels. And then even through the 4th level, you only have, you do get the better attack spell available, but you have to find it. And then the only other thing you have is Detective Apprentice, which really isn't that great of a unit. You have to wait till level 5 to find Watson, which is the only good way in the game currently to scale your attack, other than finding a treasure. So, like, by that point in the game, you just haven't gotten much out of hero power unless you kind of high rolled. And even if you high roll, it's not doing that much. I think he's pretty overrated. Then Bearskin, I think, is a similar problem to Brother Gambler. I'm going to put it C tier. I know a lot of people like Bearskin a lot. And at least you have more agency over what you buff with Bearskin versus Brother Gambler, kind of. But it's a neat champ, and you'll definitely be good in the early to mid. But again, I just find that often you're not able to do much in the late game with the hero power. But I fully admit that with both Brother Gambler and Bearskin, perhaps it's a skill issue. At least with Bearskin, I don't have to not roll, and I don't have to not look for experience points. So actually, I'll probably bump him to B based on that. He's definitely decent, and you can just ignore his hero power later on, and it still at least does some stuff for you. So he's decent. And then Brother Gambler, I know I'm just fresh off some salt with him, but I think I've had enough games with Gambler to know that I don't do well with him. It's very rare. I think I've only gotten first like once with him. It's a lot of second and thirds with Brother Gambler, and that's just not good enough for me. I really rank the ability to get first in a game for the champ. I think that it's just so hard. Like you have to give up too much for the hero power to do what it does. Granted, it does it well for a while, but then you just can't compete with people that actually got to get treasures and actually got to search for the right units, you know? Similar story with Cheshire Cat. I think Cheshire is very similar to Brother Gambler. You can get a similar amount of value, a little less overall stats, with the benefit of also getting more opportunity to search for experienced spells. I wouldn't even say triples, though. I mean, it's like you're basically at the whim of what it does. Sometimes it just screws you over and puts the stats on like a Consti or something. Have that happen plenty of times. So it's like the amount of randomness with Cheshire Cat really hurts. I think it's really powerful in the first 2 levels, but past that, I think the hero power is almost useless in a lot of cases. So I don't rank Cheshire that high either. But unlike Ares or something that is in my D, or Kek Wu, I didn't do that. That is in the template, and I decided not to. I leave it as it is. But, you know, at least they provide some early game stuff, whereas Ares doesn't really. And this one's going to maybe surprise some people, but I put this in the lowest tier. I think Dionysus, or not Dionysus, but Daedalus. Daedalus is the one that gets 4 treasures. I think he's really bad. The only early game advantage you get is that you get an extra treasure on your first treasure, which really isn't that good. That's usually a 2-cost or 3-cost treasure. And then past that, you are a 1/2 attack hero that just has no tempo. Best case scenario, hopefully your 2-cost treasure includes something where you can change your hero, because then you at least don't lose your extra treasure slot. But my results with this hero have been pretty bad. When you get into a proper lobby, you will just get steamrolled most of the time with this hero. I think he's pretty bad. Then on the flip side, Demeter, I keep saying Dionysus, Demeter is arguably the best hero in the game. You basically get the same value you're getting with something like a Bearskin or a Brother Gambler or a Cheshire Cat, except you don't need to do anything fancy to get it. You just simply have the unit. That's it. You just have to have the unit, and then you'll get stats on it. You have to hold your gold. You don't have to do weird math. You don't have to be at the whim of what the shop gives you for what it decides to put the buff on. Everything gets buffed, and it gets buffed plenty well. And late game, you can do whatever you want, and you're still getting value out of the hero. I could see them nerfing Demeter. She's that good. And then we got Dionysus. I think it's kind of like Cheshire Cat, but worse, because you're getting like arguably the same stats, same effect, except it's not every roll. And it's like the same stats, but you have to like spend extra money on it. Now, in some cases, you're getting a lot out of the upgraded version of the unit, so there is definitely some scenarios where Dionysus can be pretty good, but I really think of things in terms of like the early units, right? That's the only time they're like that affordable, and they just don't get that much on upgrade, you know? Like, not many of the early units benefit largely from being upgraded. Maybe some of them do. Like maybe like the Angel or Demon Enchanter could be the high rolls there, but for the most part, you're at the whim of RNG, and it doesn't proc often enough to be worth it. I think he's fun. I do think he's a fun champ, but I think he's pretty bad. And then Fafnir. I've debated putting Fafnir down to A because I have had the occasional game where it just will refuse to give you a triple. And in those scenarios, you don't have a hero power, and it sucks a lot. So that's one reason I would maybe keep Fafnir out of the S tier. But most of the time, if you're properly trying to just, you know, as we've mentioned with a hero like Fafnir, you really want to go and overcompensate with trying to get a triple. The problem is, if you do that and you still don't get it, which will happen from time to time, you're really screwed, because then you made a bad board because you did weird stuff like take bad doubles and stuff. But I think it is correct to take a bad double to try to get that triple. You just want to give yourself the best chance to get the triples. And all it takes is one triple early, and you've already gotten plenty of value out of your hero power. A 2/1 stat line to everything is very good, and then the more and more you get, the more and more crazy it gets. You just get crazy tempo out of this hero most games, to the point where I think it remains in S tier. And then I think Freya's really bad. I could potentially say Freya's the worst champion in the game to start with, maybe, in my opinion. You know, as we've even noted in the other video, I think she'd still be bad if she wasn't capped, but the fact that you're capped to only have her hero power work once per each level is hilariously bad to me. So there's really no upside with this character. She's essentially just an econ character or power spike character, but, you know, similar to, compare it to Fafnir, right? Like, you can just compare it to Fafnir. You basically have to force early triples if you're going to start with this character to get any value out of it. But the value you get out of it just isn't that much. It's just you're tripling another character. You're playing down units on the board, which is generally not good early game. So you're playing down units, and yeah, it just kind of sucks. Let's see. Good Leprechaun, I think, is decent. Tempted to go A or B. I think I settle on B. It seems similar to Bearskin for me. It's like you get really good early game tempo. And I think in the current meta, I would put it at A. And since we're talking about it, I put Bruni at B. Here's my problem with Bruni, is there's just not as many good there's not as many targets for evil units in the first level. And that's a problem. You know, I often feel with Bruni, I'm not actually getting my hero power through level 2. By the time you hit level 3, there's more targets. But, you know, it's not out-targeting Leprechaun in terms of, like, good units. You know, I'm saying good, not as in the good evil, but good as in good value units. With the good tag, there's more of them. Good value units with the evil tag, there's less of them. That's why Bruni, I think, is worse. But they're still both fine. I'm not dissatisfied to ever have either one. But I think right now, there's, you know, think about just how many good things there are for Leprechaun. Like the angels, the the frog, star girl, like there's just everything is good. The angels, like, yeah, farmers, level 2 and 3, level 4, there's everything is really good with Leprechaun. And Guan Yin I think is pretty bad as well. I think the 0 attack is the main thing here. Wouldn't be a good hero either, but the fact that it has 0 puts her into the Keck category. You know, comparing it to like Apprentice or what is it? Amateur? Is it Apprentice or Amateur? I can never remember the name. Whatever this one is, the one that gets a level 4 treasure. Comparing it to that, or even comparing it to Odysseus, Guan Yin is just worse. You're getting a worse treasure early on. You're starting with no hero attack. And then only by like the 5th level are you actually getting better treasures than Odysseus. And it's too late by then to have paid the price, you know. And then level 6, you're only getting level 5s, which right now, unless you're specifically going for a boost build, I don't think the level 5 treasures are that much to write home about. They used to be. They used to be pretty good, but even then I wouldn't rank Guan Yin that high for the aforementioned problems with the early game. Alright, I'm losing my voice, so let me take a break. Alright, yeah, so where was I? Yeah, Freya not good, Guan Yin not good. And just to reiterate, I think I stand by putting Leprechaun above Bearskin, and definitely above Brother Gambler and Cat. It goes back to, if you watched one of my fights a while ago, one of the dog videos, I had mentioned that composition always generally beats high roll treasures and stats and stuff. Maybe the only exception is a Golden King, but and it applies here too. It's like, as you can see in the video we just recorded with Brother Gambler, the stats just end up not mattering when your composition isn't as good as the other compositions. In a sense, it's really no different of a concept than fighting someone that like high rolls an Infinity or something. But like, you know, Infinity is, especially early, is a great treasure, but if your composition isn't as good as the other composition, usually the better composition just wins. So that's why I think that stuff like Bearskin and Brother Gambler and Cat just aren't as good as something like the Leprechaun, because the Leprechaun, even though I don't get as many raw stats from a hero power, I'm free to actually put a composition together very smoothly, and I'm just not going to be able to do that with those other 3 heroes. So Jeanne d'Arc is kind of like Demeter, just worse. I've come to actually... I for a while I really didn't like Jeanne d'Arc because it takes a while to get going and you have 0 attack, but I think she's okay. You have a very weak early game potentially. I don't know why she has to have -2 health, for example, and 0 attack when Demeter doesn't have either of those things. But you can essentially get similar value as Demeter from Jeanne d'Arc. You just have to really track when you're buying stuff, and sometimes you need to buy like a 2-cost unit to prep your hero power. You can just sell it back. So basically you use 1 gold to prep your hero power, and then you know, get your units upgraded. Another thing that kind of sucks is, I consider it a bug, but like, if you just level up and you're just seeing new units, and you buy 1 new unit and you proc your hero power, you don't get anything out of it. I really think it should apply to the unit that you just bought as well. That's like a really downside of her that kind of limits her. But if they fixed that, I think I could see her going to A or S. I think she has some good stuff that she can do, but there's just a few things that are weirdly finicky with her. But, you know, similar to the stuff that I rank good, she's free to actually get a proper build together. But, you know, having 0 attack, having low health, and having that nuance of the first unit you buy in a new level just doesn't get the hero power limits her. I would definitely still rather play her than Brother Gambler or Cat, though. I'm actually not gonna rank Merlin. The problem is this is a hero I just only really use when I'm already in mages and I transition to him. I haven't played enough Merlin to properly rank him. I just am never enticed to pick him. He may very well be good. The way I view him is you get an early owl, you're going to crush things. If you don't, you're probably going to suck. You get extra mana, which is nice. But you do start with 0 attack. And I don't know, it's a pretty good hero power, though, honestly. It's a really good hero power. But it does kind of pigeon you into certain play styles, or only certain units are going to be good with it. Not just mages, mind you. Mages obviously are something you want to target, but stuff that wants to get buffed. Stuff like the fairy, the 4-cost fairy, whatever it's called. The one that we used this last game. Honestly, that unit kind of sucks, but Good Boy would be a better example. Sinbad used to be a good example. I don't know if it's a good example anymore. But I wouldn't be doing it justice to rank it when I've really never started with it. Odin, I think, is fine. I used to rank 3-attack heroes quite highly. Because when when Van Helsing actually interacted with that, it was really nice to have extra attack. Also, Tracking Dog used to be literally 2 times as good as it used to be. That being said, it does start with 0 attack, which sucks, but you can get around that with the fact that you do have early tempo, usually with that free mana. And you can just simply get your attack upgraded if you see it for free, usually. But yeah, you get the extra mana, or you don't get extra mana, sorry, you get extra cost reduction. This is an outdated picture of Odin. His stuff used to be a little bit different, but yeah, one sec, be right back. Alright. But yeah, Odin, hard for me to know. I view him as just a way better Sphinx. He doesn't have... He's much more likely to use his hero power at all stages of the game. Granted, it obviously doesn't have the high upside that Sphinx has, but I don't know. I so often just feel like I'm not getting a hero power out of Sphinx because it just lands me on a 0-cost spell anyway. You usually have to blind roll into it, whereas with Odin, it's the first spell I cast, so I get to pick and choose what I want to get my reduction on. And almost every turn I'm able to use it, and use it well. So I think Odin's decent. Just not a whole lot of upside, though. But the thing I like about him is, unlike Merlin, it just sort of works with anything. So it's very flexible. I would probably rather have it than Jeanne d'Arc. Probably would still rather have Bruni and Bearskin, though. Savitri, hard for me to rank it because I don't really take Savitri that often anymore. But I think in theory it's good. It's a champ that provides you something. It starts with good attack, some extra health, and then it's an easy one to transition out of. Similar to Daedalus, you just keep your hero power essentially, and you can transition to a new hero. I guess the difference is the built-in. It has more attack already than Daedalus, which is something. But I think beyond that, even though it doesn't give you any early game tempo, buying an entire extra turn to stabilize is huge in this game. It's night and day better than Daedalus, if I were to compare the two. You can really, getting a whole extra turn, especially when you run into something like Scam or whatnot, is pretty nice. So I think Savitri's decent. I feel like I'm going to end up putting a lot of stuff in B tier. Because honestly, I think the heroes are definitely generally well balanced. But Sinbad, it can be very variant what you get from Sinbad. So it's similar to Fafnir in that, you got to get some treasure, you got to get some triples to do anything with it. Doesn't start with great stats, but at least it has attack. But unlike something like Aladdin, you get the power pretty early. And there is still an upside. If you can somehow get all of your treasures to a high tier, or even if you miss on an early treasure and just get a higher tier treasure to start with, you're getting really good value, just doubling the treasure value. So I think he is good in that sense. He just often might have some tempo issues. Even if you get an early treasure, it might not be something that benefits you that much to double it. But I think it just kind of middle of the road to decent. It's an enticing pick, just not a great pick. And I think similarly Sisyphus. The problem with Sisyphus is you have to take damage in order to get its hero power, which kind of defeats the purpose of having a tempo-oriented champ in a lot of cases, but it turns out it's just okay. Like, you can definitely try to purposely lose by a small amount to get your benefit. There's definitely some skill calculation there to be had. And it's also a really good hero for using Future Vision on. That's the 5-cost experience spell where you can't roll. Because, you can lose a few fights there and then your board will just upgrade. I just see it as a pretty worse version of Hercules, though, overall. It has less attack. It'll never get as much stats as Hercules in most cases. And often, like, let's say, in a situation where I just don't lose fights, even then I'd really strongly prefer Hercules, because at least then there's this big payoff when I eventually do lose a fight. Whereas with Sisyphus, it's kind of a joke of amount of stats by that late point in the game, right? It's a shame that the stats don't scale as he levels up. I think they should, personally. But all that being said, it's definitely an okay champ. I still like it a lot better than the ones that force you out of a build. And then, this one might be controversial. I don't particularly like Tinkerbell either. I don't know. I could go D or C on it. You basically have to go dwarfs if you want any true value out of your hero power. Otherwise, what are you getting? My problem is, as I said, I skew toward the early and mid game, but you're hardly getting any discount at that point, at a 40% discount. Anything that costs 2 gold is not getting discounted. Even a 3 gold is only down to a 2 gold, so it's like you're this economy hero that doesn't really get payoff until late game. So if you don't get payoff till late game, that's not very good in my book. The saving grace of it is it does have 2 attack. That can help you at least survive some extra damage early. But I don't know, having to force doors every time just sucks. I guess you don't have to force doors, but then why are you Tinkerbell? Just to get a flying item or a double boost item or something later on at a discounted price? That's not very good in my book. The only true way to get the value out of Tinkerbell is to go to dwarves. And I don't know, I just don't like forcing doors. I don't think it's hugely consistent. It's very prone to dying early. I guess the thing you could do is just not run dwarfs until level 5, and maybe that could bump Tinkerbell to B, but again, still you're getting no tempo advantage early. You're barely getting advantage by the minor discount that you're getting on those early items, so I don't like her that much. And here's one that I know I'll have disagreements on this one. Treasure Hamster. This is my worst hero in the game. And on paper, it doesn't make sense. Because to be honest, when I look at the power of Treasure Hamster, it should be so good. It's literally a 4-cost treasure mimicked. And that's a good 4-cost treasure. Like, the telescope is a good 4-cost treasure. Problem is, it's a good 4-cost treasure once you're there. I think the problem with this character is very similar to Freya, maybe even Daedalus, but you know, and it's kind of the other end of the spectrum compared to Fafnir. It's like you have to force triples to get value out of it, otherwise you're getting no tempo at all. And you may not even get it, because like here's the thing, with Fafnir, you're guaranteed the value when you triple. Whereas with Treasure Hamster, you may not get much value out of it. Like, say you triple its 2-cost and get random 3s. You just might not get that good of stuff. You're looking for a tempo-oriented treasure at that point. Like 1/2 might be the best thing you could find, or like the dagger or something. But that's really not like game breaking. It only really becomes powerful later on in the game. It's a great one to transition into, because then you can get level 7 treasures and stuff. But I just generally find that it loses too hard in the early to mid game in any proper lobby, and as a result, it's by far my lowest win rate hero, Treasure Hamster. I think he's the worst in the game, though maybe I could argue Freya's worse. Alright, then Trophy Hunter. Here's one that it used to rank pretty high for me, because Slay was good at a point in this game. The problem is Slay is abysmally and laughably bad right now. The only saving grace of this hero is that it's a 2x3 attack thing. It could literally not read anything on the Slay and I wouldn't change my rating here. And maybe I would even rate it higher than that. There are some characters that still are okay and have the keyword Slay attached to it, like the Parrot, and like the I guess Gretel is okay if you do a hunter build. So there are some units that get a slight benefit sometimes out of that card text, hero card text, but for the most part it's just a 2x3 attack, which allows you to basically not take any damage early and be a little bit greedy with what you do early, which makes it B tier in my eyes. But the upside of Slay is long gone in the current meta. You know, Nocturne sucks, Slay Witch sucks, all of the actual Slay units are horrible. Hermes is all but gutted. Some people try to say he's a good tech piece, and I'm like, at 14 attack, I don't see how that's gonna do anything, but I'll take your word on it. But yeah, main thing here is 2x3 attack. That's the only upside here. And then Aladdin, now granted it has 1x3 attack now, which makes it a little bit better, but I still think he's pretty bad to start with. It's like, you just don't get any tempo. You have to get 3 entire treasures to get the hero power going, which I'm going to be honest, I would say half my games, I never get 3 treasures anyway by the end of it. I usually target to win a game by around round 15 or 16. And very often I don't have 3 treasures by then. Granted, with Aladdin, you're inclined to never skip treasures to fill them up, but still, like, very hard to get much payoff early enough for me to want to take Aladdin. But certainly him having 3 attack helps a bit now. At least I can get the hero attack going with some spells, and I will actually survive early. But still C tier. I don't know that I would ever take him above. I would still take a Gambler and a Cat above him generally. I'd probably take him above Tinkerbell though. both have the same problem. You're not getting value until level 5 or 6. And at least with Aladdin, I don't have to force dwarves. And then amateur, apprentice, who knows what the name of this unit is, this hero, but I think he's really good. He's nothing flashy, but in the world of these heroes where you take them and transition into a different one later, he's among the best, if not the best. And you can transition him out of him very fast, you know, since by the level 3 you've already spent your hero power. But the thing about 4-cost treasures is, you know, unlike Fisher King, I'm not only getting one choice, I'm getting my full 3 choices with this hero. Very hard to just straight up brick on 3 different choices. And in fact, it's impossible to. You can get undesirable picks, but to actually brick and say I didn't get a hero power is impossible. I'd say the worst ones you could get would be a combo of the Rising Power, which will do you nothing because you're not above level 4. The Broken Spell Reflector, which just kind of sucks. And maybe past. See, those are the 2 bricks. I just don't think any of the other things are bricks. Everything else is pretty good. Pirate map, I guess, maybe. If you somehow got all of those, I would probably just you'd be forced to take the Spell Reflector, I think, and that would be the worst case scenario. But you have to think, to get all those 3 specific treasures is incredibly low odds. Usually, you're getting a nice selection of things like Odin's Ravens is amazing. The Idol is amazing, the one that gives you 14/14 on the slot 1. Even a power bag isn't horrible. 3/1 is quite good. If you know, it's kind of a mid-roll of his stuff. Double caster can be pretty good. You know, you can double cast some of those 2-cost spells. And then you just transition out of the hero later. But you can do it pretty early too, since, as we said, sorry, I had to cough my brains out. As we said, you know, you could get the Matryoshka doll immediately, essentially, and you can take it and then just get out of to a new hero. I think it's really good. And also, he can give you direction, like Immutable Idol, made a plethora of mage treasures. All of these things can give you direction. And then we have Artemis. I don't know. I don't think she's that good. Probably put her above Tinkerbell in principle. I don't even know if I'd put her above Aladdin. Like, she just doesn't do that much. Quite, you know, if it was slot 5 that she gave range to, then we're talking. But slot 1 range, who cares? Like, it 12.5 of the time it doesn't even matter, and the rest of the time, you're just getting basically double attack value, kind of, which is okay. I mean, it's still C tier, but I just don't see much upside. And often, a lot of times, the unit you might run in slot 1 had range or unyielding anyway, or just doesn't benefit that much from ranged. It even makes some things worse. Like, you can't do, you know, something like a puck. Slot 1 is now not as good, or even a Captain Hook or something like that. Or a Sinbad the Pirate, stuff that, or Good Boy, like stuff that you want to die early, or Book Mage, stuff like that. It actually makes the unit worse to make it ranged. So, I don't know. I think that she's really not that good. If you could choose If it's, again, if it's slot 5 range, now we're talking. But it's not. So I'm tempted to even put her at D, but I'll leave her at C. I feel like she gets some value. Yeah, and also, even just talking about early game, usually, even if you get your ranged hit off early, it doesn't even mean that you beat the opponent, because most of the first few fights are ties anyway. Then Fisher King. I think Fisher King is really good. It's a fun one for me to play. Hard for me to say on S or A. It's probably A because of the brick potential. Now keep in mind, there's no 100% brick, because if you don't like the treasure, you can just take 5 gold, which sucks obviously, but it's still something, unlike some of these other champs that can just literally never get a hero power. So you're never going to not get a hero power, I guess, unless you die before making it to 5, but that's on you. If you died before not making it to 5, that's your problem. And I've often made it to 5 with like 7 HP and stabilized, even with pretty bad treasures. Like I've done it where I had no mages, and it offered me the stupid book, and I pick up like 2 random mages, which is just enough to let me stabilize, and then I just, so like there's just a lot of flexibility. And then there's some treasures that just outright run you the game. It's like ridiculous to get some of these treasures early. Even a piece of affinity early on the right build can be pretty crazy good. But, like I said, there's a wide range of what you can get, and if you do brick and you have to just take gold, or you have to take a lackluster treasure, or if you have to re-roll it and wait 2 turns and lose gold to try for a better one, those are not good things to happen, and they happen from time to time. Also, like the hero attack treasure sucks, because, again, Van Helsing got nerfed. If Van Helsing was great, that'd be a great one to see, but I quite enjoy Fisher King. On an enjoyment basis, definitely S tier, but realistically, I've bricked enough times to leave it out of the S tier. And I've bricked on Fafnir as well, but not enough, not as much compared to Fisher King. It's harder to brick on Fafnir. And I think very similar to Fisher King is Fortuna. Fortuna, I really view it as mainly only getting the hero power in level 4. You technically get it on level 6 as well, but by the time you're 6, you already see 6s anyway, so getting a random one for free rarely fits the build that you're going for at that point, and it just translates to 1 extra gold, and hopefully it's not one that costs mana as well to take. But I think most of the time, similar to Fisher King, most of the time you'll get something, a 6-cost unit that is going to do pretty good for you, and sometimes it'll outright win the game for you, or at least crush your opponents for several levels. Like if you get the demon early, pretty easy to just put some evil units up there, and now it's resummoning demons, and it's like super powerful. There's other ones that aren't quite so good, but you can still work with them. Like I've noted, like the herding dog is generally one of the worst ones you can get. However, you can still get the 3-cost Doctrine to get some value out of it. So you can still work with it, and I think I showed that on a video once. And then you can just generally transition toward a build that can utilize whatever 6-cost you get. Even if you get one of the angels, it's not that bad, because angels are good at that point in the game, at level 3 and 4, So even if you don't use it by the end game, you're crushing the game up until then, and that's a-okay. You can adjust as necessary once you get to 6. Which again, maybe is hypocritical that I'm not ranking Brother Gambler higher, but again, with Fortuna, let's say I get that angel unit that's really powerful, but most likely we don't run at the end game. I didn't have to, not roll any. I didn't have to like forego taking more units, tripling, getting treasures, rolling for experience, all of these things. So I still think that Fortuna is much better than something like Brother Gambler. Also S tier on the fun level. Obviously not when you brick, but when you hit, oh yeah. Also a good unit just to teach you about the game. Both Fisher King and Fortuna are good for that, and Apprentice to some level. I think that they force you to do stuff that you might not normally do, which will overall make you better at the game in the long run. Like, yeah, you could force the most OP thing in the meta at any given time, but that thing will eventually get nerfed, and then you're going to be dead in the water until the next OP thing rolls around. I think Hercules is A tier. I would say at various points he could be S tier. Like when pirates were meta, he was S tier because he was so good with pirates. But I think a lot of the builds right now just don't care about permanent stats, which limits him a little bit. I suppose I would take him over Leprechaun. But yeah, there's just not a whole lot of builds right now that are great with him. Plus, if you do get unlucky and don't do well early and take a few damage, you're going to blow your hero power pretty much. And apparently it's pretty easy for my opponents to proc the final thing, but in my experience, procking the final thing of HP is very hard to pull off. 6 HP is pretty low. Usually to get it down that low, you might just be dead. You're taking 9 minimum damage late game. 8 to 9 minimum damage. So, and that's assuming just one unit lived, which is honestly not the case usually. So usually you're taking 10 or 12 damage, so it's really hard to get the final proc. I really only value him on the first proc, which, if you're doing bad, still is okay, right? It's basically Sisyphus at that point, just helping you get back in the game, which is a decent floor to have, but the ceiling is definitely there. I'll be honest, I think Icarus is S. The more and more I've played him into very tough lobbies, I think I've just seen him perform well. There are brick scenarios, but they're unlikely. There's too many good units right now at the 3 and 4 cost as far as tempo is concerned for you to have a high chance of bricking. My general game plan is you skip the first 2 turns for sure, because there's no sense in buying 2 costs. They're significantly worse than 3 costs, so why not just rush ahead to the 3 costs? And then at 3, I think that you take, if you don't like the first shop, you take the free roll. And if the second shop is pretty bad too, I think you skip again and go to level 4. And then you'll be hard pressed at level 4 not to find something that's good. You're looking for like the most ideal unit's going to be a Husky. That thing could solo most boards by the time you get that. But yeah, I think Icarus, there's just enough tempo units that you have to brick pretty hard not to hit them. And if you do, I could argue very few of the heroes in this game are brick proof. Demeter is probably the only one to me that is actually fully brick proof, which might put her in her own tier, to be honest. With Demeter, you could have literally potatoes, no treasures, no nothing, and you're gonna do okay. So honestly, maybe I do actually add a row above and say Demeter. I think that she is in a tier of her own there. That looks a little bit better to me. I would never take anybody over Demeter if I was actually tryharding. I think Odysseus is pretty good. It's like it's similar to, I view it pretty similar to Apprentice, honestly. It's just kind of a worse Apprentice is how I view it. Now that's not objectively true because I do continue to get treasures after that, but they're always level 3. which there's only so many level 3s I want to see past level 3. Weird Compass is a great one. The hat could be great depending on some things. But generally I find you're going to get something tempo-oriented, usually, at the very least, which means that you're still good for the early game. It sucks that he starts with -2 health. I'm not a huge fan of that. But if anything, later on in the late game, if the treasures aren't enticing, you can just skip them and it's a free 2 gold every other 3 turns. That's not bad. It's not bad as far as an economy hero goes. But it's not really an economy hero. It's just what you're getting out of it at that point. It's just kind of okay tempo early. It's just a really good overall hero is Odysseus. He's kind of my default pick when everything else is not that good. Definitely not S tier, but I think low A tier is accurate. Then we have Pig Entrepreneur, who I used to rank highly when, there was a point when just anyone with 3 attack would automatically be A minimum, but I think in the current meta, I do not like Entrepreneur that much. I think it's similar, I don't know, maybe similar to Gambler. I guess they're like brothers here. The Pig Brothers. I don't know though, I find it pretty hard to ever get any massive value out of the piggy bank. You could play it, I've tried playing it similar to Icarus, and I think it's a horrible idea. Getting all of that money just doesn't do you any good. It's like, unlike Icarus, you're not ahead on curve. You're only ahead on economy, but you're not really, because the thing you paid to get ahead was to not buy units. And you're only saving graces that you have 3 attack, but it's only 1x3. It's not like it's 2x3 or anything like that. So, I don't know. Really, I usually end up playing it not really ending up utilizing the bank that much if I want to place well. I've never found going the super greedy route to be good. It's a great way to get 6th or 7th, is what I would say. So really, it's just you get an extra gold at the start, you have 3 attack, and you can smooth out your turns sometimes when you end on an awkward amount of gold. That's how I view the hero, which isn't very good. Sphinx, I think, is really bad too. I rank it maybe somewhere there. As I said before, there's just so few times you can get payoff out of the power, and very often you're not getting any payoff. Sometimes it's small payoff. Most of the time it's no payoff. There's too many zero cost spells in this game, especially early, when it would matter most, when you're starting out with a hero. And like I said, you have to do it blind. Unlike Odin, you have to do it blind, which is to say I have to go down to $0, which means often I have to roll into it if I'm an odd number, or I have to just roll anyway because the current spell sucks or something, or I have to spend the current spell and roll to get down to 1 mana. All of these things translate to you're often just blind rolling and hoping for the best, and the best just doesn't come that often, especially when they removed... He was a little okay when there was a level 3 experience spell that they removed from the game. If that was still here, he might be D tier to me, but I don't know. I just, probably more so, the way I feel about most of these dudes down in my D and Keck tier is that I just don't have a hero power. That's how I feel about them in the early game, maybe even the entire game. And that's just not a good feeling to have. Why pick the hero if you're not getting hero power? Hen is removed from the game. It was the most broken hero that's ever existed. I think the Duckling is okay. I think that it doesn't scale up well enough to justify playing down a unit is my problem with it. But at the end of the day, it's still good. Like through the first like 2 to 3 levels, you often play down a unit. Plus, you could run crew member or something like that to really take advantage of the hero power. But I hate that it doesn't immediately have stats. I think it immediately should start at a 1-1 and then scale up appropriately. All that being said, at least I can build whatever I want with it, and usually I just don't use the hero power late game unless I get like a Golden King or a Doppelganger or something. It's still like okay though. It's just like okay tempo. And then same with Toy Dino. This used to be a S tier champ, potentially the best champ, maybe even better than Demeter when Van Helsing was good. I mean, this unit was insane with Van Helsing. Still though, 8 overall attack to start with is pretty nuts. You're not losing hardly any fights for quite some time with that alone. Like, I could literally not buy any units for maybe 2 or 3 turns, and I'd probably never lose HP. I mean, I would against people that use boosters and stuff, but, you know, a lot of boards I just wouldn't lose HP. Factor in that I have my own units, and I'm definitely not losing HP, you know? But really, the way I look at it now is like, it's just kind of similar to Trophy Hunter, but better. You know, you just get that early flexibility to build whatever you want and be a little bit greedy, you know? Maybe roll a few extra times when you would have just bought a unit before. Then finally we have Match Girl, who I think is just sort of solidly B. Used to be one of the best heroes in the game, but she's been nerfed several times. Still think she's pretty good though. Like 2x2 attack is fine. I can't remember if they nerfed her to 1x2, but if she's still 2x2, that's good. If not, I'd still probably rank her B, maybe just lower. But definitely better than Savitri. Probably similar to Sinbad. You know, you're just getting an extra roll every time. The problem is it comes at the end of your turn when you have no gold. So, you know, it's not something you can immediately make use of. And sometimes if you have to lock that free roll, in a way you're not getting the free roll that you would have got anyway by just a new shop coming about. Plus it's also a hero power that you don't really want to typically lock as you're leveling up. You know what I mean? So I don't think it's amazing, but overall economy-wise, it's one of the better economy champs, just from a pure economy standpoint. So that's how I'd rank them. I stand by that list. I think this follows with my pick rates for the heroes as well, for sure, as I look through this. Anyway, as always, thanks for watching, and until next time, peace.